Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
It's not magic, but it might feel like it. Hey everybody, I'm Kelly Wilkniss here with Anita Joyce, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks. We are now on YouTube. Our first video is up on YouTube. Please go give it a watch, a listen, and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification button so every time we put out a video, you can know about it right away. We'll have the link to the YouTube video in the show notes, so it'll be easy just to click on over and give us a thumbs up. Let us know if you're enjoying the videos, and if you are, we're going to keep them coming. So let's get started with today's show. Today, we're going to give you some tips and ideas about how to make your bedroom bigger. You know, no matter what size your bedroom is, it can always be a little bigger or feel a little bigger. So we're not talking about adding square footage today. We're giving you tips, choices to make with regard to colors and design and positioning of the items in your room to give it the sense of being bigger. And you know what? That's really all you need. You don't need to add something on. You might just need to move things around and change your color palette a little bit.
You're right. If you're creative, it really is amazing what you can do with something simple. And one of the lessons I learned, and I knew this, but not to the extent I know it now, from this huge rug I bought at the farm, is that going with a much larger rug versus a smaller one is going to make your space feel bigger. When you have a little rug, like a skimpy. So for example, in your bedroom, we're probably talking about a rug around your bed. You don't want a rug just at the foot of the bed or just kind of maybe a foot around the edges. You really want a rug that looks generously sized for your space. So that's the first thing that you can do to really make your room feel bigger.
Right. And you might think to yourself, a lot of these tips sound counterintuitive. Like, oh, if I have a small space, why am I going to put a giant rug? It's going to make it look smaller. But that and a lot of the other tips you're going to be hearing today are excellent and solid decorating advice in order to enlarge your space visually. But it might feel like that wouldn't be the natural way to go. It's like, oh, if it's small, then you have to go small. No, definitely not. And certainly not with regard to a rug. I think that makes a really big difference. And if the rug is of a lighter color, that'll also make the room feel more expansive.
One of the things that really can make the room feel too small is too much in it. Wouldn't you agree? Too much furniture?
That happens in a bedroom. We tend to put everybody else's needs ahead of our own. Women tend to do that. So your bedroom, I know for me, was always sort of on the bottom of the list. Like, oh, we'll do the kitchen, and then we'll do the kids' room, and let's make sure the room where we're watching TV is this. And oh, and of course, the dining room, everybody sees that when you come in. So your bedroom, I think, tends to go, like yourself sometimes, it tends to go on the bottom of the list. In addition to that, sometimes it becomes the magnet for piles of clothes that need to be folded, or just stuff you don't know where to put. Well, stick it in the bedroom because it's not a really public space. And then your bedroom not only has a lot of furnishings in it and whatnot and your own personal belongings, but then it's a magnet for other things or other people's things like your kids' whatevers. You need to look at it with a critical eye and get all that out of there.
It kind of harkens back to the days when you had the fancy living room that was for guests only. And then you had, so that would be your showcase. That's where you would have your guests, your front room. That's what my grandparents call it, the front room. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of the fancy place where you had guests, but you wouldn't, when you were a kid, you would never go in. You weren't allowed in there if there weren't guests. But then there was, that's the way it was at our house. But the place that the family hung out for reals, where we actually spent time, was actually this danky little place in the basement where we're like crowded on top of each other. And really, it's ridiculous thought. This fancy, nice room. It wasn't really fancy in our house, but this room that's all dressed up just for public consumption, and then the room that you're using every day is just this dank, corner, in the basement.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that there's that mentality kind of has carried over time into, the bedroom. It's not a public space. It's not a place where you're going to have guests over. So that's the place that we kind of ignore. But I love the French. I love the French way of doing things. And, back in the day, there was the idea of the salon and the great lady, and she would have artists over and painters and writers, and she would entertain, and it would actually be in her bedroom.
Oh, ooh la la. I didn't know that.
That's the way. Well, that's what I understand. If I'm reading correctly.
Well, I'm not sure what ladies you were talking about.
No, but it was,
okay.
No. It wasn't a pajama party. People were fully dressed. But, I kind of like that idea of having it as, thinking of it as that kind of a space where you could entertain if you were so inclined. You could have your friends up there.
Start to take a look at your room. If you have a pile of clothes that need to be folded or put away in the corner, and if you have, some doggy toys, or you have other things laying around in there, just say not happening anymore, and find a place for those other things to go so they don't just travel to your bedroom and get tossed on the bed and then thrown on the floor. That being said, there's a lot of things in your bedroom that should be in there, but they might not be stored in the right way. You have too much furniture.
Right. I think too much furniture can really crowd your space. And this is the beauty of trying this. If you think you might have too much furniture in your bedroom, here's the tip. Pull something out. Don't give it away. Don't throw it away. Don't sell it. Just move it out of the space into another bedroom, into the hallway or something temporarily, and live with it for a week and see what it feels like. Does it feel more roomy? Are you missing that storage? But if you're missing the storage, maybe the solution is not to put it back in, but to have less things in your bedroom. Maybe get rid of some things because, 80% of what's in our closet we hardly ever wear, let's face it. So you probably can pare down. But I love that idea of just temporary pulling something out, because then you can, it's very reversible, and it gives you time to really get comfortable with your decision. So you're not making any rash decisions on getting rid of furniture. But, another thing beyond the size of your chairs and chests and how many things are in that room, I also think about the size of the bed, because I think these days a lot of people have king size beds. And if you have a king size bed, you really need a king size room for it. So really think about if you have the right size bed for your room, make sure that it can really handle that size bed in there.
Well, I'll tell you this. We have always slept on a king size bed, although our room is not gigantic, but because that's a priority or something I would never consider changing, that's a trade-off that we need to make, and we're willing to make for the size of the bed. If it's a king size bed that has a big wooden headboard and a footboard, and there's a lot of visual weight to it, you may want to consider either changing the headboard and the footboard, even if you want to keep the size of the mattress. Maybe just removing the footboard is a possibility. I don't have any footboard. I think that does open up the space. And maybe if it's wooden and dark, maybe you'd want to paint it a lighter color if possible, or switch it out to some sort of light upholstered headboard. Something that's going to not take up as much visual weight and space in the room could make a tremendous difference, even if the expanse of the bed is the same.
The footboard thing, I think you're really onto something there, because the footboard really does visually crowd a room. So I think so that's something. Now, if you're switching from a headboard footboard to just the headboard, you're going to need to switch to a Hollywood frame. But that is something that you can do. And I know at the farm, and what you're saying is true too. Now, if you go to a smaller size bed, it's going to help make the room feel bigger. But you know what? If you love your king size bed, that's your call. And at our farm, the room is not that big, and we do have the king size bed. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really, really like the king size bed, and I miss it. When we're in the city, because it's so nice to have your space there.
Space is good. Yeah.
I know.
And back to that footboard again. I think what it does, it's like a stopping point. If there was a footboard, I would see that. My eye would stop. When your eye breaks something up like that, it seems smaller. Breaking it up is not a good idea if you're trying to give the impression of a more expansive space. So what you'll want to do is whether we're talking about the type of bed or just this is a general tip, is to keep all the colors very similar. In the light tones would be great, softer colors. So it's more monochromatic in those lighter tones, and your eye can just keep flowing and it'll go naturally from one thing to the next, whether it's the bed, duvet down to the carpet, and then to maybe an upholstered chair, and then maybe they'll see some drapery, and then your eye is looking out the window or something like that. That's going to give your impression of a lot more space.
Oh, I definitely agree with you. I think that the limited colors is going to be very helpful to make it feel cohesive and just make it feel pulled together, and then also help it feel more expansive. And I was thinking too about if you have chairs or a chair in your bedroom, think about visual weight, visual space, not just the footprint of the chair. If it feels cramped, but you feel like you still need a chair in there, but your club chair is too big, try switching it out for a chair that's a smaller, more like a dining room sized chair. And here's the other thing is, not only does that have a smaller footprint, but it has less visual weight. So that's another way you can make your room feel lighter, is use a chair with less visual weight, meaning it has legs that you can see through. It's not skirted. That's just going to feel like it doesn't use up as much space in the room. Or rather than maybe a trunk as a little table or a chest, you might even look for a more open, airy table that you're using. For example, next to a chair or next to you, or as nightstands, use something that has space that you can see underneath it. That's going to really help the room feel bigger.
Yeah, that's a really subtle point that people may not even consider. Even the nightstands, if you think of sort of in your head a traditional nightstand, it's usually sort of this box with maybe 3 drawers, and it kind of goes to the floor, and it's just kind of this solid piece of wood. But if you changed that out and you did something that had even just small feet, if you could somehow see under it, and certainly if it has maybe a shelf instead of a 3 closed drawers, and you can see the wall behind you, this just all gives your eye tips that this space continues, and it gives the impression of it being much bigger. Allowing the natural light to come in also does that. So if you have shades or drapes or a combination thereof, even if you're a person who really needs it to be super dark and you have blackout shades, situate them such that during the day, you can slide them to the side. So maybe put them on rings, make sure that the shades can go up and down, and use the mechanisms and open it up and let the light in until it's time to go to bed. With your eye being able to see out, that's also going to give the impression that it's much bigger.
As we're talking about being able to see under things, you can skip a bed skirt on your bed and just kind of have a cover over your box springs or base, whatever, depending on what kind of mattress you have. And, that's something that's done a lot. Especially if you have a Hollywood frame, it's not going to look good. But if you have, a nice headboard, footboard, a lot of times you can do that. And it looks quite nice. And then you can see under the bed, and it just looks more open, but you can't use it for storage then.
That's the trade up there. Laura has that in her room because she has an antique bed, which has a headboard and a pretty elaborate footboard. But her room is small, but we've kept it because she has an extra room as well for her homework and hanging out and whatnot. Her bedroom itself, although it's small, doesn't have the feel. She has very big windows, and we have very minimal furniture there. It's really her bed, 1 dresser, and she has 2 very slim nightstands. I put one of those box spring covers. If people, I'm not sure what that is, it's really a decorative cover that can go over the box springs, so you don't have to have something coming over it. And it really looks nice. Hers is sort of a quilted material, and it's really pretty. Another tip is if you're thinking about going a little more through DIY or hiring someone in to change your bedroom a little bit, horizontal planking does a lot to expand a space. It continues your eye around the room. So if you wanted to do some sort of horizontal planking, even on one wall, maybe the wall behind your bed, or if the room is really small, it might be something really charming to do all the way around to give the room some texture and expand the space at the same time. Look on Pinterest, look for horizontal planking. You obviously often refer to as shiplap, but shiplap kind of has this farmhouse country look associated with it. It can be a little bit more streamlined looking. It can be a little crisper and cleaner looking too. So have a look. Maybe that's something that would work for you. Maybe you don't even have a headboard. Maybe you do the horizontal planking on the wall behind your bed. That is it. That will simplify the room, and paint it white or maybe a dove gray, something like that could be actually really beautiful. And it might just add that interest that you would need if you're going to be reducing the amount of furniture in the room.
Using, like you did, a shelf instead of a nightstand. The shelves on the wall do not require a footprint. And so if you don't have room for a table, but you need more storage, it's a great way to add some shelving in your room.
I went into the studs and created these 3 narrow shelves.
Right. Well, and listen, that's fantastic solution for your room. But, you know, if you don't want to go to that hassle, you can just buy shelves.
Oh, sure.
To mount on the wall. So you don't have to cut into your wall if you don't want to. That was just a very clever. Kelly just wanted to be clever in her house.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I was trying to get every inch out of it. Going into the studs is something I've done before. We called it the sippy cup cabinet. That was in our last house because the girls were so little, and we just, you have mugs and sippy cups and like they sort of pile up. So we did that there on a long cabinet in the kitchen, and that was a great use of space rather than just having this.
Oh, that is a great idea.
Lost wall, on the side of the fridge. We went into the wall. So that I just kept that idea stuck with me. And so we were able to use that same concept here in the bedroom. You could put shelves on either side to either create some sort of nightstand. You just need a little plateau, right? And so if you're in a situation like that, you probably don't have space to put an actual table lamp or a lamp that's going to sit on it. So how about some sconces? And you could do ones that need to be hardwired, or you could do the kind that don't need to be hardwired, and you can just plug them in.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, if you don't have room for a lamp, that's a fabulous solution. I love wall sconces. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's a really sharp look. It's a very fresh look.
And how to hide those cords.
We know that's a problem a lot of people have. You can hide the cords. You could cover them with those fabric cord covers, but I love the metal covers. Hey, we'll be right back with the rest of the show, but keep listening so we can continue bringing you DTT. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. One of our tips, and you guys can probably fill in the blank, if we were going to hang our draperies in a room that we wanted to appear larger, would we hang them really low, right on the top of the molding, or would we go all the way up as high as we could?
I think we know the answer to that.
Yes, I think I hear people saying, hang them high, hang them high.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, put those drapes as high as you can go. Make sure you buy them long enough. Or if you have ones that you haven't hung high and they're not long enough, just add something on the bottom. Try a flounce, put some trim, put a different color in a similar fabric. Just like make it a little bit color blocky if you don't want to invest in new ones. That's probably kind of an easy fix.
But another thing too on the curtains, because, the traditional way is to have a panel on either side of the windows to make the room feel bigger. And just because I like the look, I typically do a panel. If there's two windows, I will do a panel on the left side of the left window and the right side of the right window. So just one panel, thick enough, where you could actually cover the window, but just the panels on the outsides of the two windows and not on that inner side of the windows. And that really kind of makes it feel more open.
I have that too. And my windows are not even on the same wall. It looks really good. In fact, I saw it in your bedroom and I was like, oh, how can I recreate this here? So I just had the rod go further. Mm-hmm. I could pull them all the way across if I wanted to, but because I also have the shades, I think that adds to that look in a really good way and makes it all work. If you have the shades, the woven shades under it as well.
Right. And we would be remiss if we didn't mention sometimes having curtains in the room makes the room feel smaller. So that's an option too, is to take your curtains down. And this is another one of those very reversible things. Don't take your curtain rod down just yet. If you're thinking you might want to remove the curtains, just take the curtains off of the rod and if you're not sure, leave it like that for a week and then kind of decide if you like it. And if you do, then you can take the curtain rods down. But I'm all for really being sure you want to do something before you dive in all the way.
No, you're really not. But okay. You're kind of a leaper, but that's okay, which I love about you.
We don't need to be spreading that to everyone.
No, but if you can test the waters, definitely go ahead and test. If you're thinking, oh, yeah, but I really want draperies. A, I want the privacy. B, I kind of like the sense of having another fabric and texture in the room because I have a hardwood floor or what have you. Then consider, if they aren't already, getting drapes or curtains that are very similar, if not almost exactly the color of the wall.
Yes, I think that is an excellent idea. That is really something that I'm not sure everybody thinks about, but I think that's a great idea.
It might seem like, oh, that's boring, but no, it's really not, because in a bedroom, you don't really necessarily want a lot of tension at all, of course, but it's certainly not in your fabrics and colors. It's supposed to be a place of peace and calm, if at all possible. So if you go a more monochromatic route, you're going to achieve that. And again, it's one of these really subtle things that you might not even know is going on when you walk into a room that's like that, or you see a room like that. And for whatever reason, it resonates with you with like, you might not say to yourself, oh, that's because the drapes are very similar greige to the wall, of course. And that's because the nightstands have legs and aren't solid wood to the floor. But it's all these little things that add up that really create the sense of space and also calm and tranquility, which should be your goals there.
Yeah, I agree.
And certainly a mirror, whether it's a mirror that you use for getting ready or it's just decorative, I think that if you have any room that you want to appear larger, you need to have a mirror in there, and bigger is better.
Yes. And I love the big gridded mirrors because it kind of looks like it's a faux window in a way.
Right.
And the bigger size ones add so much light to the room. And especially if you can angle them so that you're reflecting the outdoors, it really does do a nice faux window for you. So that's going to help too.
Yeah.
If you've got more light and the reflection in there. So absolutely, I think the mirror for a small room is a great idea.
Yeah. And on the same sort of note, art is very subjective. So whatever art means to you, but art is going to give you the eye something else to focus on beyond the physical perimeters of the room. So in and of itself, art, no matter what it is going to expand the space. Your eye looks at the painting or the glisse or the print or your kid's artwork or whatever it is, and it's seeing beyond the walls of the room. So, but not, you want to have maybe one or two, tops three, depending on the size of the room, pieces of rather large art. If you're doing a whole gallery wall, I would save that for some other place in your house. I don't think that's a good spot, that being the bedroom, for a gallery wall. I think it's too busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want that peace and calm like you talked about. So I like a few large pieces of artwork. And this is where you want to put the things that you really, really love. This is where I have really an oversized painting of two girls together. And it always reminded me of my two girls. And it's in my bedroom. So it's one of the first things I see when I wake up in the morning. So it's something that's really meaningful to me. And I love that.
And reflective surfaces beyond the mirror, if you can add in maybe a mirrored nightstand. I love little mirrored furniture, and the little accent pieces
Very
are
blingy.
just so charming. Yeah, but in kind of can be in sort of a subtle way depending on what it's mixed with. Sure, if you're doing it with hot pink, but if it's just sort of mixed in with muted tones and whatnot, it's there, but it might not be screaming at you. So I think a little bit of that goes a long way. Maybe some mercury glass accessories. If you're going to have a candle or something like that, put it in a mercury votive. Shimmery fabrics, even something that's going to be a little bit reflective, or like a dresser tray with a mirror on it. If you are lucky enough to have some sort of vanity area, all those things will add just little subtle hints that will, coming all together, will make your room feel bigger.
I think that's great. And like we said, if you've got too much clutter in there, maybe you need to get rid of some things. I hate to say it, but that's kind of our solution to most anything. That's kind of where you start.
That's the starting point for sure.
Yeah, it is. Seems to be like for about anything, especially in a bedroom where you just tend to have things accumulate. They grow. Piles get bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just good to kind of go through and see what you can get rid of.
Right. And we didn't mention it when we were talking about the bed. If you are going to invest in a different bed, whether it be the size or shape or no footboard or what have you, there's a lot of good bed options with storage. There's some really beautiful options out there that look really well made. So I would be very careful in choosing something like that. I think you probably have to pay up a little bit for it to be really sturdy, because you think you're sleeping on it. That's a lot of pressure. And then the drawers are being opened and shut. But wow, that's a whole area where you can store a heck of a lot of stuff, especially if it's seasonal things that you're not necessarily getting to every day. And one thing we didn't talk about, which is really surprising.
What?
We didn't talk about the bedding.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So I think if you really want to expand your space, why not go all white or shades of white? Even mixing them all together is really lovely. And there's just nothing like white bedding.
If you really are needing to feel more space in your room, another thing you can do is a beautiful white linen sheet on your bed tucked in. It's kind of a more modern look, but that's something that you can try also. But I mean, my personal favorite is a long drop. Hands down, absolutely my favorite.
Yeah. And if you are somebody who likes a lot of pillows, if you're doing a whole bunch of different pillows with different patterns and things like that, again, that's going to be taking up visual space. It can be stopping your eye, no matter how pretty they are. If your ultimate goal is to make your room feel bigger and calmer, going monochromatic and particularly all white on the bedding will achieve that, or will take you a long way down that road. I'm excited to even make some tweaks in my bedroom, because I think I might have a pile in there right now.
Yeah.
As we're talking about that. So Anita, I think this is the last day of the challenge.
Yes, it is. Well, this is the part of the challenge where you actually get to go start shopping.
Woohoo!
We've been putting a plan together. So today we're going to start shopping, and you're going to start with those large pieces first, like a sofa, chairs, furniture, obviously, lamps, that sort of thing. You're going to find things to suit your budget, your taste, and the room. We think the first pieces to buy are the big ones. However, if you see a great deal on something or there's some super special piece, but you weren't going to buy it right now, you know how that works. You're going to need to go ahead and jump on that gorgeous piece if it's a one-of-a-kind now, because it may not be available later. So this is where you get to start shopping. So your deliverable here is going to be a detailed shopping list outlining each piece of furniture or accessory that you are going to be purchasing. Don't forget to put your measurements down. And like I said, this is the end of the challenge. So, go ahead and start your shopping and start working on that room. If you have done any of the challenge, we would love for you to tag us. Kelly is at My Soulful Home on Instagram, and I am at Cedar Hill Farmhouse. So we would love to see what you did if you followed this challenge for your living room.
Fantastic.
Today, we are defining the term triptych. And I noticed you used that before on DTT, and I thought that would be a great thing to define for people because it might have missed some people's radar on what exactly that was.
Oh, I'm so glad you're listening that closely to what I'm saying. What is a triptych?
It is a large 3-part hinged mirror, panel, or screen, but it also can refer to 3 prints or paintings that together make up one scene.
What a wonderful thing to put over the back of a sofa, especially when you need a large piece of art. Do it in 3s. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. My crush today is nothing to do with decor, but it is a helpful tip for everybody who thinks they might start traveling again. I just got TSA pre-check approval. Woohoo, I am bona fide. I am here to tell you it's easy. You should do it too. And you can leave your clothes on at the airport and your laptop in your bag, and you're going to be really happy.
Oh, yes. I know a lot of people that do that travel a lot. It does make travel so much easier. And what is the charge for that, so people know?
$85.
If you travel enough, I think it's totally worth it.
What's your crush?
My crush is the movie The Lady Vanishes. Have you seen this one?
No.
Well, if you like Agatha Christie mysteries, you will love this. It's based on the 1930s thriller about Iris Carr, who's traveling across Europe in a train, and she befriends this Miss Froy, who's an elderly English woman. And she takes a nap on the train. But when she wakes up, Miss Froy has vanished. And when she asks people about Miss Froy, nobody seems to know anything about her. And she's like, yeah, you were just talking to Miss Froy. And they're like, nope, we don't know who you're talking about. So the doctor seems to think she's, losing her mind and she's crazy. But she knows she saw someone. So there's a race to find out where Miss Froy is before the train stops. So it's very interesting and it's very well done. This was released in 2013. And it stars the cutie Tom Hughes, who you might know as Prince Albert from the series Victoria on PBS.
I always thought he looked a little like Prince. I like him.
Yeah, well, without those long sideburns, he's kind of cute.
Okay, wonderful. I'm definitely going to watch that.
Well, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. And remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Want to talk to us? Well, we really want to talk to you. So let's schedule a design consult. Anita and I are here to give you individualized, actionable advice on how to create the beautiful home you want and deserve. It's so easy to schedule a design consult with us. Simply click the link in the show notes or head to decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. When we talk to you on the scheduled time, we will be ready with so many great tips, advice, and yes, tricks. So sign up today for a design consult. We can't wait to talk to you.